going on? Welcome back to the channel. Tonight we are back on the Jeep WJ doing the coilover conversion. So this will be part 2. If you didn't see part 1, go up here, click that link and go watch it. You can see what we got going down. So we are going to get right to it and let's check in with Joe and see what he's got going on. What's going on?
Taking off the booster for the new master.
So we're changing out the complete master cylinder.
We have to change out the complete booster.
Well, we were changing the booster out, but we have to change the master cylinder. But we got to go ahead and do the booster as well.
We have to do the booster because we can't find a master that fits on the other booster.
Man, what's up with that, dude?
I don't know, but this works.
We didn't change that before. I'm so confused. We've never had to change the actual booster.
Maybe the booster was changed before we got to it.
I don't know. So this is what's coming out here. That's the vacuum booster that takes vacuum from the intake manifold and gives braking pressure. So Joe's swapping that out. What's that, a couple bolts inside?
4 bolts.
4 bolts and then hook on the pedal and...
Yeah, but I need a deep well. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'll go play this game again.
Well, just give you an update. So what we're doing on the coilover towers, doing something pretty simple here. I'm gonna go to the other side. The hole where the shock used to be, right there. Man, it's dark. Let's go up top. I don't know if you can see. So we bored this hole out so we can put a piece of 1.5 inch tubing. This is 250 wall, thick stuff. So that's gonna go through there. And then we're gonna plate. It'll weld on there. And then it's going to come up something over in here and then down to the inner frame with some tabs, and that's going to be our tower. And then we're going to plate right here and it'll bend onto that. So it'll have a plate and then it'll weld there on top and then it'll weld over here and we'll have a very strong tower. So we're going to get to work on that and kind of show you what we got going on. Come on. This is a pretty simple task right here. I'm gonna get stuck on everything. There we go. Wiggle that out of there.
There. This came out of a TJ. And the pin that pushes on the, here it is. This is the factory pin that goes on the end of the booster here. You can kind of see. And it pushes on the master right here. But the problem is with this bigger master,
and this is off like a 99, 2500.
Yeah, something like this is off like a big boy, 25, 3500, right? But with this original pin, it just, you can see it, I only have like that much room to push it. It's just
not long enough.
It's just not long enough. So what we do, and we ended up figuring out, what was the thread pitch on it? You remember?
It's metric.
It's a metric thread pitch. But we found the same thread pitch, rounded off the head of the bolt, and now we have all that extra room to press on. So we're going to screw this.
And a neat little trick if you don't have a lathe is you can put it in your cordless drill and hit it with your grinder while you're spinning it.
Yep.
So you get a nice uniform circular grind.
Yep, and it fits very nicely, if you can see on the camera. Fits very nicely down in there. Yep. Moves all around, which is what they're supposed to do, is have some flexibility. So we're going to screw this in the end here, and it should work.
You seem, wow, it's dark. It's later than we planned.
It is. Well, it's another one of those nights where things just did not go as planned. But hey, we're getting stuff done. The booster is in. Took a little longer than expected, but was able to finally get it bolted up. I had to adjust the brake pedal a little bit, but it feels real nice. Brakes work. It's a good thing. So,
but they're not hooked up.
They're not hooked. No, brake lights. That's what I mean. But everything feels like it's working good. That's the better way to put it right now. We'll see when we bleed it.
So we started the shock tower. This is 250 wall 1.5 inch DOM. So I went to bend it up and we had a problem with the bender. It kind of jammed up and we ended up having to cut a pin, press a pin out, and it's been a mess. I actually took way longer than planned, but we now kind of have it better. We have some fixes that we're going to additionally add to this. But for now, we're going to get this in and bend it up and see if we can get this thing where it needs to go. Well, tube's bent. Cut a notch, slot miter. I don't know. Cut the tube. Anyways, so as I was telling you, one of the goals of this is we want it super clean. So we're going up through the shot coil here, and this tube is going up like that. And it's going to sit right about there. Now I'm going to cut a plate on the plasma table at 1/4 inch, and I'm going to add a little bit of structure back in here. Now the WJs have, it's not a frame, but their unibody frame area is quite strong. So once we add this 1/4 inch plate here and spread the load out, that'll be nice and strong. That'll be welded. That will weld up here around there, and then up top. So as you can see here, it's come right up to that hole. We'll weld on this side as well. We're spreading the load out. So not sure on the height of this, but the next step will be taking a tube from here, and we're going to come forward and down to the inside of the frame somewhere in here. Not 100%. I'm probably going to do it, it'll probably go right around to where the engine mount is, because that's reinforced pretty heavily on that. And then if we have room, we might add a 3rd tube. But these 2 tubes and the way we're doing it, and then once we have a crossbar going across, they should be pretty strong. It's unfortunately, with some of the little hiccups we had, it's a little bit later. So we are going to take this into tomorrow. So let's get out of here. Let's go get some rest, and we'll be back right now. Pull!
I got a new toy. I got a new toy.
Joe wanted to add another unit to his collection and picked up a 12 gauge, and it's a long barrel, and got a few minutes, so wanted to put some shells through it and see how it does. Back to work. So Joe's in the process of kind of taking a look at the madness over here and figuring out how things can be.
So we really just need this spot, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
just right there? Okay.
So, looking at that, and then in the meantime, I am going to cut out some plates on the plasma table and get those tacked up. Got the plate tacked on, tube tacked on, and it's looking pretty clean. Definitely happy with this. So now we've got to set this axle back to where it was at full bump, set the coilover in here at full bump, and figure out the height of where our second tube is going to come off. All right, so we're making progress here. We've got everything set back up at full bump, and the coilovers now in, and it's hitting perfect right where we want. Clears the master cylinder just to the side, and now we have our tube. So the next thing we're going to do is make a tube that comes off there and goes down to the engine mount, right there, part of the frame. That's the strongest area, so between these two it should be pretty good. Joe has got a coilover tab. We're going to see if this works for this. Let's cut this out. All right, so we got these tabs cut out, cleaned them up, hit them with the DA, drilled them out, and measured them to fit. And those are those two. And then I just dropped something. I don't know what it is, so we won't worry about it. So as you can see here, this is just set in place and got a really good fitment here. So now we're gonna kind of play with this to get this exactly where we want it. We'll tack that in place, and this is coming together really well. Well, exciting stuff. Joe had the idea to put the fitting on the inside, and we were looking for a reservoir mount location, and this is what Joe decided on. He has good ideas sometimes.
Sometimes. Thanks, Daniel.
So we had this little bracket that mounts on there with some hose clamps. Got that mounted. You can still access the reservoir, access all your dual speed adjustment. And this side, like I said, I just want to reiterate, this is not permanent. It's not permanent. This is getting an axle swap to Dana 60s, or 60 front. And so this is just for him to take it to the other place that's doing the axle swap. So these tabs are getting cut right off. I can't reiterate that enough. And then it's going to come back here, and we'll finalize some stuff on it once he has the new axle in, and we'll do all that. But this is the setup. So that's going to come through there nice and clean, and there's actually still room for the bump inside, but we'll get that when it comes back. And like I said, we ended up kicking the tabs out a little bit there, and everything is now ready to get some springs. Go ahead and get the passenger side done, get everything back together, and this guy will be complete with our phase of the project. Thoughts for this part. Looking here, we've got to do a little more clearancing up top. The other challenge we run into, because we're not doing the full thing, is right now we're sitting just about 6 inches higher than normal. So I can't fit a second spring in there. So we're going to have to set this thing up to only have one spring. The other thing, let me pop this hood. Over here, things got a little tight, but as you can see, everything's squeezed in. All that. So we're going to have to relocate the air filter. I have some tubing, so we're going to move it over across there and then down on this side, because where it was before, it's just not working very well. It's squishing it. There's really no airflow, and so by bringing it that way across and then under the charge tube, we actually get a much better pocket of air. Yes, it's on the exhaust side, but you have a ton of room here for air to be flowing to help with that. And his filter's bad, so I've got a new K&N filter here we're going to put on there. And then the only thing left with us, like I said, I got to clearance a couple things down below, is we're going to make a crossbar up top here. So we've already checked for clearance, and right now with it sitting this high, it clears. So we're going to bend down to here, and then on the other side we'll bend in there, and then we'll make some flanges to make this tube removable, because obviously if he has to pull his engine or turbo or well anything in here, that bar has to go. Okay, we're going to keep this going. Tomorrow I'm going to wrap up all this, so we should be done with our part and pulling this out, and I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. All right, so fast forwarding a few days, we're basically done with the Jeep. We're going to put it on the trailer with the part that we were doing. So this is the final result. We are back on weight now, and surprisingly, it's actually sitting really level, so that's awesome. Like we said, the coilover is currently not in its permanent home down here. We got everything painted. It's really dark. I'll have to get a flashlight. Up here, though, so this is the where we're at. These tabs are heavily tacked on, so they're not going anywhere. Because he's getting the axle swap done, they may have to move a little bit, but we'll see. We got the crossbar done here, went in and painted that. So this is completely removable, attaching both sides to each other. One other thing that we did is move the intake. Before it was squished over here. And so we got a few pieces and some couplers, and now it comes over here and goes down here to a nice pocket area, kind of like we showed you what we were thinking, but it's actually done now. So at this point, this Jeep is done and ready to go on to its next phase of the project. So let me grab you a flashlight and show you what the coilovers look like. All right, let's get in here now. So you can see we got some of this painted so it wouldn't rust. The tube that is our mount also double as our reservoir mount, and where it's at, it won't get hit by the tire, so it's pretty cool. And also, this is a Dana 30, the new axle is a Dana 60, so it'll be a lot wider, and most likely they'll have a different offset. What else? Yeah, I mean, it's nice, clean, simple. There's a lot of room up there. The other thing is, like we mentioned, because this is temporary with the height that's at, we couldn't even fit the other spring in there. So he'll have to either, it's coming back, we're gonna do some bumps on it. We'll either put that on or he will. Most likely he will when he does the axle swap on it. But once that gets lowered down, you can see, I mean, all the way to the axle tube from there to there is about 5.5 inches, which will give us all of our travel back. But the really cool thing is our spring rate already is dialed close to where we want it, because we're sitting pretty level. I'm happy with it. You can't even really tell from before. And man, I'm just, for everything that's going on in here, it turned out super clean. He's got to finish up the brakes on it, but he's going to do all that. So yeah, what do you think, Joe? You happy with it?
Yeah, I liked it. This is a lot more secure than it was before too. Just
yes,
moving some things around in here and
tightened up some of his exhaust
tightened
stuff.
up everything. Yep. So
and move some stuff around. His evap can still squished in there, so he can still charge his AC right there, fully functioning. Other than that, we just kind of scoot some stuff around and squeeze the coilover in there.
yeah. And one thing that I wanted to point out, and
what's that?
Is this here? So this is the positive connection.
Needs a boot on that.
Yeah, he needs a boot on there. But there was some stuff that was on top of it, and it's just not safe. So I went ahead and cleared this area here.
I think we have a boot. We can put a boot.
We could put a boot on
there,
it, but I wanted to, if nothing else, at least the area is clear now.
Yeah.
So there's no potential metal grounding out on that thing.
Yeah, I've got a boot. We'll put one on there real quick for him.
Awesome. Nope, I almost forgot that one.
Yippers. So this part of our project is now done. So you kind of see, it seems easier than it is, but we've done this quite a few times, so we kind of have ideas where things go, how it's going to work. And the only real hiccup we had was the brake master cylinder and all this. I don't know what was up with that. We had problems fitting the right master cylinder on there, but we got it now, and it's a bigger one for his 1-ton axles. So good stuff. Good stuff. I really like how well this cleaned up, and everything looks good. These nice carbon shock technologies. 2.5 coilovers with dual speed adjustable reservoirs. So he'll be able to get this dialed in. He has access to the charging port and access to adjust it and make this thing ride awesome. We're gonna go ahead and get this thing loaded up now, get this all taken care of, and we're gonna get out of here. So if you like the video, make sure you subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff, and we will see you next time. So fist bump for Joe, fist bump for you guys. Oh yeah, and this guy, Joe brought it back over. We're actually going to be cleaning it and painting it this weekend, so keep an eye out for that. We're using Krylon implement paint. It's like a tractor paint, but overall the body turned out good. But make sure you check back for the video on that. We'll be doing the paint this weekend, so video coming soon.